Hello everyone. Today our management topic is the secrets of the high potential personality. Are you curious, conscientious and competitive? Do you also have the more mysterious qualities of high adjustment, ambiguity, acceptance and risk approach? If so, congratulations. According to the new psychological research, the six traits constitute a high potential personality that will take you far in life. The truth, of course, is a little more nuanced. It turns out the same traits in excess may also impede your performance, and the real secret to success may be to know exactly where you fall on each spectrum and how to make the most of your strengths and account for your weaknesses. But this new approach promises to be an important step forward in our bid to understand the complex ways our personality attempts our working life, attempts to capture our workplace personality have, after all, suffered a record in the past. One of the most popular tests used today is which sorts people according to various thinking style such as introversion and extroversion and thinking and feeling. Now, first we discuss about conscientiousness. Conscientious people commit themselves to plans and make sure they carry them out to the letter. They are good at overcoming their impulses and thinking about the wisdom of their decision for the long term. After IQ, conscientiousness is often considered one of the best predictors of life outcomes like educational success. At work, high conscientiousness is essential for good strategic planning, but in excess, it may also mean that you are too rigid and inflexible. Second point is adjustment. Everyone faces anxieties, but people with high adjustment can cope with them more easily under pressure without allowing it to negatively influence their behavior and decision making. People with low scores on this scale do appear to suffer from poor performance at work, but you can mitigate these effects with the right mindset, my dear friend. Various studies have shown that reframing a stressful situational or situation as a potential source of growth rather than a threat to their well-being can help people to recover from negative situations more quickly and more productively. Third point is ambiguity acceptance. Are you the kind of person who would prefer tasks to be well defined and predictable, or do you relish the unknown? People with a high tolerance for ambiguity can incorporate more viewpoints before coming to a decision, which means they are less dogmatic and more nuanced in their opinions. Low ambiguity tolerance can be considered a kind of dictatorial characteristics. They will try to distill complicated messages into one easy selling point, and that can be a typical trait of destructive leadership. Crucially, someone who can accept ambiguity will find it easier to react to changes, such as an evolving economic climate or the rise of the new technology, and they cope with complex multifaceted problems. We are trying to identify the ability to leader to listen to lots of different opinions, to take complex arguments and to make sense to them in a proactive way instead of simplifying them. And we have found that the more senior you are in a leadership position, the more important that becomes for decision making. Low ambiguity acceptance will not always be a drawback. In certain fields, such as regulations, it can be better to take a more ordered approach to that iron out all of the wrinkles in the process. Knowing where you stand on this spectrum may prevent you from stretching too far from your comfort zone. Next point is curiosity. Compared to our other mental traits, curiosity has been somewhat neglected by psychologists. Your recent research shows that an inherent interest in new ideas brings many advantages to the workplace. It may mean that you are more creative and flexible in the procedures you use, help you to learn more easily, increases your overall job satisfactions, and protects you from burnout. Now, next point is risk, approach, or courage. Would you shy away from a potentially unpleasant confrontation? Or do you stream ahead in the knowledge that the short term discomfort will resolve the situation, bringing long term benefits? Unsurprisingly, the capacity to deal with difficult situations is critical for management positions where you need to take action for the greater good even when you are faced with opposition. Next point is competitiveness. There is a fine line between striving for personal success and caving into unhealthy jealousy of others. At its best, competitiveness can be a powerful motivation that leads you to go the extra mile, and its worst, it can lead teams to break down. Together, these six traits consolidate most of our understanding to date on the many different qualities that influence work performance, particularly for those settings their sights on leadership. Equally interesting are the personality traits that have not included, however, the extroversion or introversion scale, for instance, may determine how we deal with certain social situations, but it seems to make little difference in overall job performance. Agreeableness, our capacity to get along with other people, doesn't appear to predict professional success. Almost everyone will fall outside the optimum range for at least some of these traits, but these problem if we have colleague who can rein us in. To measure each trait, participants have to rate how strongly they agree or disagree with a series of statements, such as I get frustrated when I don't know precisely what is expected of me at work, aimed to discovering ambiguity acceptance, or my personal targets exceed those of my organization, which measures conscientiousness or so various sectors tracking the performance of business leaders of multinational organizations over several years. For instance, to research is still ongoing, but a paper published last year demonstrated that these traits can predict subjective and objective measures of success. In one analysis, these participants' answers explained about 25% of the variations in income, which is a reasonably strong correlation and comparable to the influence of intelligence. Say, even if it does still leave many differences unexplained in the study, competitiveness and ambiguity acceptance turn out to be the strongest predictors of take home pay, while conscientiousness seemed to best predict the subjective measures of satisfaction. Now, the part of the wider recruitment process could be used to screen high potential candidates, but says it can also an aid personal development so that you can identify your own strengths and weaknesses and the ways you may account for them. It could also be useful for constructing a balanced team that reflects the full spectrum of high potential traits, with a wealth of research showing that groups benefit from diverse thinking style. Almost everyone will fall outside the optimum range for at least some of these traits, but these need not be a problem if we have colleagues who can rein us in. So, but does anyone ever meet all the criteria? That he can think of a couple of individuals who fit the bill, including the CEO of a bank of in a bank. He just almost optimal in all the traits. And I have say that was very intimidating despite those feelings of awe. The benefits of these unique personality profile were apparent throughout the meeting, even if it can be a bit scary to work with that kind of person. You know exactly what to expect. They are someone you can trust, rely, and respect. So that's the end of the video, my friends. If you like my blog, please subscribe and share it. Thanks again.